It's 5 o'clock in Pirate Country, and it's time to get pumped up with the P-Man. Hit the door and hit the road. 94.3 The Game is going to get you home, and the P-Man's not holding back.
Yes! Yes! Pirates win! Pirates win!
Bring on the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Holy mackerel! Oh, my goodness!
The flagship station of the ECU Pirates.
Okay, hello everybody and welcome. Nice to have you with us here. Patrick Johnson in on another day where there's never a dull moment. Lots of news to get to here. Doug Martin's going to join us coming up in a little bit. Right now, though, I wanted to make mention of something that is going on via IBX Media, and it involves this weekend's football game. It is the East-West initiative that you know started a few weeks ago when members of the Greenville community, churches, you had, of course, the city and the fire department and first responders, police, and our company, IBX Media, got behind the initiative to just get as many donations as possible collected and shipped out to the western part of North Carolina in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene after the utter and catastrophic devastation there. More than a dozen trucks. I don't want to give a number and be wrong, but I know it's more than a dozen trucks, tractor trailer trucks and big moving box trucks sent out with supplies. So in coordination with East to West on Saturday during the ECU football game, they'll be collecting new socks and new blankets at the entry gates to be sent to the western part of the state. Obviously, it's a beautiful day today, 80 degrees, very nice, but it's getting a little cooler at night, especially in the mountains. It's been cold. We even had some snow in parts of the mountains already in western Carolina. So IBX and all the partners behind East to West, and East Carolina University, hoping the Pirate Nation will unite in this to ensure success of the initiative and extend our support to those in need. So East Carolina putting that out today. You could check it out on our social media to read that statement. But essentially, new socks, new blankets, if you could bring those, they'll be collecting them on Saturday before the homecoming game at the gates. All right, we'll get into some of the news in just a bit. First, Philip the Ref Pilkington is with us here. Pilk, who we got with us today? Intern Brandon?
Yep, Brandon's in the house.
All right, well, nice work by him.
Working over a very hot editing bed.
Slaving over a hot editing bay is what he's doing there. Let's see here. I'm looking around, and I was in other work, so I haven't seen all the always anonymous text line texts that have rolled in. There's a lot going on, Pilk. Mike Houston took to Twitter today, and I thought it was a very nice and classy message that Mike crafted. Let's see here. I knew I wasn't going to have this up in enough time. It's like the dream where you keep telling yourself you're going to be late, you're going to be late. Part of what Mike Houston tweeted out today, and it was in one of those notes, the past 5.5 years here in Greenville have been an incredible experience for my family and I. We have had the pleasure of coaching some of the most incredible young men we could ever ask to be around. He says they've been blessed to have made incredible relationships with so many families in Greenville and the surrounding area. And he says the last couple of days we have been overwhelmed by the love that we have all been shown and the way everyone has embraced us, saying that they'll be cheering and supporting the Pirates every week for the remainder of this fall and beyond. We are healthy and blessed and know that God has a path and plan for our family. Go Pirates. And it's signed Mike, Amanda, Owen, and Reed Houston, which I thought for Mike Houston to do that was top shelf A class and greatly appreciated and well received, as it should be. The Cadillac man, one of the best used car salesmen in his heyday, the one and only Mac Brown, opened up about Mike Houston following East Carolina's firing of Coach Houston on Sunday. UNC coach, a big supporter of Houston, especially wherever he ends up next. This is Mike. This is Cadillac Man's quote. I want to congratulate Mike Houston on all his success. I was sorry to see him leave East Carolina. He made a change, actually called him, talked to him last night. I have great respect for him as a person and as a coach. He's won everywhere he's been, and he'll go somewhere else and he'll win. He's just a great coach, and I admire him so much, and I want to congratulate him on all of his success and wish him good luck in his next venture because we need him in coaching. We need guys like him around kids. So, again, that was pretty nice of Mack Brown to do that and make that statement, something he didn't have to do. And I know there's a lot of admiration for Mack Brown by Mike Houston. Bryce Young is back in the starting lineup, Pilk. Of course, Andy Dalton was injured in some sort of automobile accident with his family yesterday. Thankfully, they're okay, but I guess Dalton has injured his thumb and will not be playing. So it's Bryce Young at the Broncos as a long-suffering Panthers fan whose team has only won 30% of their games since David Tepper took over as the owner. What is your reaction to Bryce Young making the comeback? I actually thought it might be time to consider when will they go back to Bryce Young, because Dalton did not look very good on Sunday.
He didn't. Now, with that being said, historically, when Panther quarterbacks get injured in automobile accidents, you bring in Derek Anderson, because the last time that happened to Cam Newton, DA torched the Bucks. 41-year-old Derek Anderson, they should have called him off the couch, brought him in. He'd relive his 07 Pro Bowl tenure. Now, seriously, I was kind of that way too. It's like, I like Andy, and I think he gives you the best shot to win. But it's tough because it's like Canales has kind of, without saying it, has said, hey, this is not the guy I drafted. He was somebody else's decision, not mine.
He
kind
just
of
made the announcement 2 days ago that he wanted to keep that Dalton was going to be the starter.
Yeah,
and because he wants the offense run a certain way, and Bryce Young, the diminutive Bryce Young, cannot run it. Little itty bitty Bryce Young can't do it.
Yeah, so that to me meant that Dave Canales had no intention of bringing Bryce Young back as a starter at all this year unless absolutely need be. However, this opportunity, glad that, the Dalton family for the most part is okay with the exception of the sprained thumb of Andy. It sounds like the wife and all the kids were in the car and it sounds like they're okay. But hey, maybe this is what he needs. It might not be what he needs at all. This could just continue to be a snowball rolling downhill headed for hell, as Merle Haggard would say. But, look, this kid.
Little Merle Haggard reference.
Well, it was the first name that came to mind from the song, or The Good Time's Still Over for Good. Or over, whatever the heck it's called. Anyways, point is, look, Bryce Young was still probably going to get a shot somewhere in somebody's camp next year. So you hope that it's not probably going to be Carolina's, but you hope that he can go out there, be successful, kind of get his footing back so that whenever he does show up to a camp, he's got some confidence. However, this could go really poorly because when you're a quarterback and the coach says, hey, he can't run my offense, there's a good chance he comes out there with no sort of belief in himself at all.
It's a game you would think if Dalton were in and played well, they would at least have a shot to win, even though it's on the road. Maybe they'd have a
Denver's
chance.
offense is not great. They don't run the ball well. But, hey,
This
Carolina's defense.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, Carolina's defense could make Denver's anemic offense, look great. I think with Bryce Young at the controls, that chance greatly goes down, but we could be wrong. Good news on the Pirate front as far as alums go. Keaton Mitchell has returned to practice, so that's exciting news. And you and I were chatting about this right before. Essentially, I think this makes – we talked about this with Jim Szoke yesterday. The team that is the most likely to knock KC from its perch makes them that much stronger. Baltimore's reeled off 5 in a row after 2 in a row. We knew about the defensive coordinator change. I didn't realize they'd lost those offensive linemen, so that was a great Pilk nugget yesterday from the Ultimate Sports Nerd. And so they started off 0-2, and there you go. They are now back in the hunt, as it were. Do you think we ought to get a break and come back and hit some cuts, or do you think we ought to go ahead and hit a couple of cuts right now?
That would have Coach Martin sitting through 2 breaks. He's already logged on. He's anxious and ready to go. So let's not do that to Coach.
So JDB, I don't want to call you out, Pilk. let me. How can I phrase this without making my guy
I don't care
Philip
if you call me
Pilkington
out.
look bad?
You can call me out.
Well, no, I'm not calling you out. It's just you said JDB said nothing of any real note, and I respectfully disagree because I watched the first half of the press conference while I was eating lunch today. That we posted on social media, or maybe ECU did. One of the two. I watched it on YouTube, on the YouTube.com, which I don't know if you know this, Pilk, is quite popular with the kids and the old people. Just people in general. Were you aware of that, Pilk? YouTube.com?
Yeah, so I think that
platform.
Charlie Bit Me video from like 20 years ago kind of like spurred YouTube from the ground, and that's
okay. I got you.
Since.
The Charlie Bit Me kid, you wonder, did he ever cash in on that fame?
I don't think so. I don't think anybody's heard from him.
So, you know, let's play the first cut here, even though it's a little lengthy. I thought he said some pretty interesting things in that.
You know, first off, I just want to, you know, give my appreciation and gratitude to Coach Houston. He took a chance on me, you know, first-time play caller, coordinator, and, you know, I owe him a lot. You know, he's a great coach, even better person, you know, cared for me and my family. And, you know, I feel a lot of responsibility as every coach and player does in there that, you know, kind of felt like we let him down a little bit. And, you know, that's frustrating. It's disappointing, and you feel for it because of just who he is. And if you want to know, you know, who Coach Houston is as a coach, all you got to do is look at and see how our players responded when they found out the other day. And that'll tell you what kind of man he is and how much respect that he has from the people in this building. It's unfortunate. It's a tough situation, but the circumstances have changed, but the mission hasn't. You know, we came here to coach our players and to serve our players, and that does not change. You know, from a staff standpoint, from a coach's standpoint, you know, we do this for a living. You know, we'll be coaching, whether it's here or somewhere else a year from now, but these players only get one shot to play, and it's our job to make sure. I mean, we got 5 guaranteed left, and I promise you we're going to fight like hell to make sure they get a 6th one. Like I said, it's tough, but like I said, our main focus is these players. They're the most important people in the building right now, and we're going to take care of them.
So, you know, some coaches, the reason I think that was interesting, the statement, Pilk, where he said, you know, whether we're coaching here or someone else, I think he and Blake Harrell are very realistic about the situation, but they're not letting it cloud what they're doing. And I was texting with a guy today who's had some connection to the program in the past and is an avid fan, and he was saying, you know, with all this, you know, players worried about where they're going to wind up and coaches worried about where they're going to wind, you know, he just was concerned about is their focus. You know, at least in all the interactions that we've had now, myself one-on-one with Blake Harrell yesterday before the media and today JDB before the media, you know, they're saying things with conviction that makes me believe that they've taken every measure and will continue to really circle the wagons. Could the wheels completely fall off? Gosh, I hope not. I don't think they will, at least not this week. But, you know, I don't mean they're going to win the game, but I think I feel a little better about those chances, again, based on some things that were said today. We'll see.
I'll be honest with you, based on their chances, to say one quick thing. When we got done talking to Blake Harrell yesterday, I was ready to run through a wall. He was like, he had me pumped up and believing, man, to the media. I can't imagine what he's saying to the players.
You know, there's a lot of good stuff here from JDB. We'll hang on to some of this. We will get to it here. Just hit the second cut real quick, and then we'll get a break so we don't keep Coach Martin waiting. But yeah, let's play that. And again, it's not any overarching thing that's particularly but there's just little phrases and little ways he words things that I thought he handled today really candidly, but also very, very well.
You don't really grow until you face adversity, and whatever it is, whether it's life, the game of football, and in this game you're going to face a lot of adversity. And, these type of things, they have a way of bringing people together. And they can easily tear people apart. But that just speaks to, we talk about all the time just how great our players are as people and how much they care. And this is just another example. And, like I said, it was an unfortunate deal the other day. But ever since then, our guys they've come together. And it's been really cool to see.
Yeah, again, just some really compelling stuff in there. I was captivated by it today. So anyway, we'll come back and talk to Doug Martin about all that has transpired in the last several days around ECU football and the game against Temple, the future, and some other college football notes. And we'll see if Doug did his homework. We gave Coach Martin homework. See if he did it. Next.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
Pirate game days, there's nothing like them. The atmosphere, the tradition, the matchups, the magical finishes. Be a part of Pirate Game Days. Season tickets are as low as $115. Reserve your seat today to be a part of the experience of Pirate Game Days at Dowdy Ficklen Stadium this fall.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Have you noticed he's in his own little happy hour? We're back to the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
This is the Happy Hour program.
Here's the P-Man.
And having a little technical difficulties with the P-Man. Oh, I think we've got the P-Man back now.
No, I
P-Man,
was just freshening up my beverage. That's all I was doing.
I saw you were. I didn't want to throw you under the bus. I was going to go technical difficulties because, see, if that happens, we get to say, it's Buscemi's fault. But if you're not there,
that's hitting too close to home for Michael Scratch and Sniff Buscemi because he's had technical issues the last couple of days.
Yeah.
And which is no fault of his, let me just say. All right, let's go to Coach Doug Martin, who joins us here. And, Coach, how are you? Great to see you. Thank you for coming on Sunday with us in our special coverage. I've gotten much reaction to Doug Martin's appearance on the program that day.
No problem. I appreciate the overtime pay I'm going to get.
You sound a lot like Logan. You see, with the money thing. You sound a lot like. Look, I wish we both got. I would just like a little piece of the Logan money, just a tiny bit. I don't need a lot. If I could just get a fraction of the Logan money, I'd be in business.
You guys are winning all these awards across the country. We can't get a bone thrown to us every now and then. Come on.
We are merely nominated. We have not won one yet. We're just merely nominated.
All right.
It's
all
like
right.
getting.
I'm good. How you guys doing?
We're good. It's like getting to the dance, but not winning the whole enchilada, as it were. All right. So, in case you missed Coach Martin's thoughts on this, and then I'm sure some additional thoughts that he has kind of had kicking around since Sunday. Coach, sort of reaction to this decision in season, and I think it's not overly shocking from the standpoint of things were trending in a really bad direction for ECU.
Yeah, I mean, the thing you hate is they still got an opportunity to win 6 games and get to a bowl game, which would be huge for these players. I don't know that you help that by making a change in mid-season. I would hope that if you're making a change like this, you have a plan. Why are you making this decision now? Not just making it just to appease, people that are disgruntled or whatever, but, have a plan about who you're going to hire and what direction you want to go and what direction you want the program to go into. Like I told you, Patrick, being a head coach, I had to fire assistant coaches at times. It's an awful deal. You hate doing it. And there's families involved. But I never did it unless I had a plan about who I was going to hire, that I knew it was going to move our program forward and make us better. And I hope that that's the decision-making process for East Carolina also.
So Blake Harrell will shift over to be the interim coach. Blake is a great human being, like a genuine and very relatable, very likable guy. It was really cute. Two of his daughters were there. He's got three girls. He's totally outnumbered, Coach, in his house. He's got his wife and 3 daughters. So they had their softball uniforms on. They were just as cute as they could be. They're little softball players, and he's got one that's a volleyball player, and just a really nice family and a really good guy. So I hope he has a great deal of success. And again, I hope he can, circle the wagons. It'd be nice to get a win at homecoming, regardless of how the rest of this thing plays out. But he's going to continue to call the defense. He says, I don't want to throw too much change into this thing. And then he's admitted they've made some tweaks and will make some tweaks to the routine and the practice week and that kind of thing. So, I'm sure this goes on all the time when there's an interim situation mid-season. But, I think he's been pretty upfront about he's going to do things the way that he feels like they should be done.
As he should. And I don't know Blake at all, but I know what I see on film. He's a really good football coach. He's done a great job here at East Carolina. And even this year, they've played really well on defense for most of the year. They've been hamstrung a little bit by their offense, just to be blunt. I mean, they've just not been able to score points. They've not been able to help the defense at all. They've not been able to stay on the field and generate drives, and that's difficult. And I'm sure he has some ideas of what he would like to do, but he's in a really tough situation because, he just inherited this deal. He's doing the right thing by calling the defense. He shouldn't get away from that. That's what he's good at. And they need to be good on defense if they're going to have a chance to win games, because I just don't feel like they can win games on offense. And so he's definitely doing the right thing there. And hopefully he has success. I hope he does, because he has certainly been a great defensive coordinator for East Carolina.
Sorry, Coach. It appears this time we are having technical difficulties with the P-Man, as we have lost the P-Man. So just kind of your thoughts on Saturday. The offense was sluggish to start, especially. Mm-hmm. And then the third quarter, things kind of changed for the better. I thought Caton looked a little more calm in the pocket, but also I thought, they were running some more routes that are for a game manager type quarterback, some more drives, little spot routes to find the hole in a team that ran a lot of cover 3. So what were your thoughts on the overall play there of Caton Hauser on Saturday?
Yeah, I think you're right, Pilk. I mean, you don't know about him yet because you got to see him in a game that's really tight and where things are really evolving. Army really went into prevent mode in the late third quarter, fourth quarter, where they were just going to keep everything in front of them and let East Carolina complete passes up front and make the tackle. And so it's a little bit easier than what it's going to be, when he faces Temple for sure. Temple's going to play a lot of man coverage. They've got a pretty decent looking football team. They're not winning games like they probably should, but they're a decent looking football team. They're going to put some pressure on East Carolina offensively to beat man coverage. And that's what, RPO teams struggle beating man coverage. So it'll be interesting to see if they continue in that intermediate passing game, because I agree with you. That's what they did. It looked better. And I've been saying that all year. They need to develop an intermediate passing game. So that's the first time that showed up. It was a little bit too late in that game, but hopefully they can continue that success.
Yeah, and now obviously one of the other things you have to do is run the football. I mean, this is a team coming into the year, you had Rajay Harris, all these preseason accolades. I'm not saying it's all on Rajay because, Rajay's not an explosive back. He can run over a guy, or maybe he's a one cut and make one guy miss, especially if that guy's at the next level. So you miss the play side backer, but you're able to reach the mic. So this offense has really struggled to run the ball really over the last 3 weeks. And just kind of, what are your thoughts on what they need to do to get back on track? Because this is a team who has proven in the past they can run the football.
Yeah, a couple of things. Number one is they need more diversity in the running game. Everyone wants to blame the offensive line, but the only thing they really run is inside zone. There's really not a lot of diversity to the runs. When you're struggling in the offensive line, if you could just run a trap draw, something to where the offensive line just needs to take the defensive line where they want to go and the back can cut off of them. Things like that would help the running game, having a little bit more diversity. That's where I was kind of disappointed in their offense during that open week. They had a chance to go back and maybe get some of those things involved, some play action passes and some nakeds to help the running game. But they really didn't move that way. They really kind of stayed where they were. So it'd be interesting to see if they can get some of those type of things going. And I'll say again, you're never going to be able to run the football until you can make people defend the pass. And, if they can continue that intermediate passing game and create first downs with that, it's going to open up some avenues for the running game. But when you're a one-dimensional team and all you have is the RPO game or a run, you're going to struggle running it.
Coach, I'm back. We've gone to the backup system here. So thanks for being with us. Doug Martin is here. Thank you, Pilk, for catching that as well. So, Coach, let me ask you a little bit about defensively. Let me ask you this. I was going to get to this. Steve Shankweiler is going to be up in the booth. Blake Harrell's going to be on the sideline. Shank's going to be mainly helping with like timing issues and the 2-point chart and that kind of thing. So, I mean, you know Shank, obviously. So they brought Shank out of retirement here to put him back up in the booth. But, I mean, having just Shank's knowledge about all of that will be pretty invaluable, I'd have to imagine.
It will, because it's game management. The thing that's different, when I was a head coach, I was also the offensive coordinator most of the years, and we've discussed that before. So it's really hard to do both because you've got to manage the time, you've got to manage timeouts, you've got to manage, are we going to go for it on fourth down, alert the defense that we're going for it on fourth down, all those type of things. So having Shank up there to be able to manage the clock and timeouts and all those type of things for him will be beneficial. Now you have the 2-minute warning in college football also. So that you don't burn a timeout, you have somebody up there telling you, hey, you got the 2-minute warning coming. You don't have to burn a timeout. All those type of things take a little bit more off of his plate so that, he can just concentrate on the defense a little bit more. That was a smart move using Shank in that manner.
Temple coming to town. They get a win over Tulsa. They're playing better. And they had a quarterback that threw for close to 300 yards last time out. So when you look at Temple and have studied Temple a little bit, I mean, just given the upheaval, that maybe increases Temple's opportunity here on the road this weekend potentially.
Yeah, I would say, when I took a look at them, Patrick, shockingly, they're a pretty good-looking football team physically, especially on defense. Their defensive front is pretty stout. I'll tell you what, they do a nice job of getting pressure on the quarterback. They play a lot of man coverage, which is going to be interesting to see how East Carolina handles that because that is an RPO killer. If you get people that can play man coverage, Now you can invest everybody else up in there to stop the run, and there's not those big windows to throw the ball into. It'll be interesting to see if ECU has answers on that. So defense is their strength. Offensively, I know they played better versus Tulsa, but Tulsa's a bad team. I don't think they're a great offensive team. They're okay. Their quarterback, is kind of an operator, kind of a game manager type guy. I think they've got a couple of decent looking receivers and running back, but they're really struggling to find an identity on offense also. I don't think they're capable of scoring a great number of points unless they get help, if they get some turnovers, and get a short field and those type of things. So be interested to see which way this game goes.
All right, we'll try to get my system here rebooted and do that. Meantime, Pilk will give us an update. We'll come back. We'll talk about the future of the ECU program as far as its football coach, get Doug Martin's opinion on that and more. So stay with us here on the Patrick Johnson Show. Right now, here's Pilk.
Thank you, P-Man. Starting in the NFL, earlier today, the head coach of the Panthers, Dave Canales, has announced that Bryce Young will start in Sunday's game in Denver as Andy Dalton has sprained his thumb in a car accident on Monday night. Other news around the league, the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs have added a new weapon for their star quarterback Patrick Mahomes as they have acquired DeAndre Hopkins in a trade with the Titans in exchange for what is currently a 5th-round draft pick. That could bump up to a 4th if DeAndre Hopkins plays at least 60% of the remaining offensive snaps and the Chiefs reach the Super Bowl. Baltimore Ravens running back Keaton Mitchell has returned to practice today. He has not practiced since tearing his ACL in Week 15 of last season. This opens up the 21-day period for them to activate him to the roster. Last night, the Canes had a come-from-behind victory in Edmonton as they trailed 2-0, both of which those goals had come from Connor McDavid. Heading into the third period, they tied it up in the third, and then Sebastian Aho scored with 7 seconds left in overtime to lift the Canes over the Edmonton Oilers. The Hornets will begin their campaign tonight for the 2024-2025 season in Houston. The Rockets are favored by 7.5 points. That'll do it for your 94.3 The Game Sports Flash Update and Pirate Report. We're going to take a time out here on the Patrick Johnson Show. We'll be back with more with former Pirate OC Doug Martin.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Hey Glenn, let's talk about a new program at Greenville Nissan.
Sure, sometimes bad things happen to good people, like credit hiccups.
Greenville Nissan just rolled out credit forgiveness.
If you've been making consistent car payments and you're tired of that high interest rate, this program is for you.
Get into a new Nissan with a manageable payment and keep that cash in the bank.
Come visit us at Greenville Nissan and drive your Nissan home today.
Hurry, this program ends September 3rd. Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arr!
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227. Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's cut in color. And let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, Newbern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are
Riding
endless.
shotgun with you on the drive home.
It's showtime.
This is the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
We cannot hear you, Patrick. I don't know if you've muted yourself. Got you up. Well, while Patrick tries to get all that sorted out, Philip Pilkington back here with the offense coordinator, or the former offense coordinator of the East Carolina Pirates, Doug Martin. And Doug, obviously the news broke this week of Mike Houston's dismissal and, the future of the Pirate program. Blake Harrell has been named the interim, and we've seen where interims have turned into head coaches. We saw it happen at Boise State just last year, but the coaching search is begun, and obviously a lot of Pirate fans are throwing all the names in the ring in the hat that they think should be brought in. A lot of people are saying it's got to be somebody with ECU ties. Kind of what are your opening thoughts here going into the coaching search for East Carolina?
Well, I think the main thing you're looking for is somebody that wants to be at East Carolina, whether they have East Carolina ties or not. Skip Holtz didn't have East Carolina ties, but he wanted to be at East Carolina at that time. He came in, he did a fantastic job. So I think what you're looking for, and they need I believe you need an offensive-minded coach at East Carolina. You got to score points to win there. You just do. And in college football today, you've got to score points if you're going to win football games. And they need somebody with experience. I believe some experience. East Carolina's a tough job. It's a much tougher job than when I was there, Pilt, because when I was there, we didn't have to deal with Appy State and Charlotte and Old Dominion. They didn't have programs, that we had to compete against in recruiting. Now you do. So, there's a lot of things that go on. They've got the NIL world and transfer portal and all that type of stuff. And I think having a more steady hand and somebody that's done this before, whether it's at the FCS level or the Group of Five level, or if you can find a guy that maybe is a power conference coordinator right now that has been a head coach somewhere before or something like that, I think that would help them. Bringing somebody in young that you're going to have to train to be a head coach and those type of things is difficult at East Carolina, and you don't want to go through that learning curve, I don't think. But one of the things I'd recommend is you reach out to a guy like, if Skip Holtz wants the job, he'd be a great choice. But if he doesn't, I would reach out to him. I'd reach out to Steve Logan and ask them, what do you guys think we need? They don't necessarily have to give you a name of a person, but what do you guys think we should be looking for in a head coach? And I think their wisdom would be really valuable to whoever's making that decision.
Patrick, I think we can hear you now.
All right, Pilt, give me a second here. I'm on the fly here working.
It's like Pilt said the ratings are going up since he took over.
What?
Yeah. Patrick, I don't know if you guys saw the headphones he was wearing last segment. Those headphones are the headphones of a man who's about to go for a walk on the beach, not the man who's running a radio show. He is trying to dip early and get his walk in on the beach, Coach. He doesn't care about us anymore, and that's what it is.
Do you have me now?
I know, Patrick.
We do, but you're hollow. I think the computer's picking you up, not the microphone.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna reconnect here. Hang on.
All right. We're gonna get our final break in. That way we can just take Coach up on the final segment if that works. So we're gonna take a final timeout here on the Patrick Johnson Show. We'll be back with more of Coach Doug Martin on the other side of this timeout.
We're down to the final days of our summer sales event at Greenville Toyota.
Lease new RAV4s, $319 a month. Test drive the redesigned 2025 Camry, all with our advantage.
It's your last chance to save at Greenville Toyota.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers. burgers and sports at its best.
Everybody loves tiebreakers.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
Let's go! Woo! Woo! Yeah! Football time!
Set the tone. Kyle, tie your shoes, tie your shoes. Yeah, good job.
Woo! Yeah!
Grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild.
Summer is here, and Sawyer's Fun Park is having a toddler summer special. From 10 a.m. to 12 noon, Monday through Friday, Sawyer's has a $10 two.
Check.
We're down to the final days of our summer sales event at Greenville Toyota.
Lease new RAV4s, $319 a month. Test drive the redesigned 2025 Camry, all with our advantage.
It's your last chance to save at Greenville Toyota.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Everybody loves tiebreakers.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience.
And now, the stunning conclusion of the show. It's the P-Man here on 94.3 The Game.
Bilk, I was talking bad about Buscemi, and the radio karma gods have come back to bite me today.
Yep.
Is Doug still with us, or did Doug decide the hell with this? I'm going fishing. Oh, he's here. Okay. Doug,
No,
did you ever?
I got you. I was just telling you the ratings skyrocketed when Pilk took over. I mean, people are clamoring for him.
Look, they probably are. They probably are. Did you ever? You've had the communication from the press box to the sidelines go out before, haven't you?
Oh yeah, every coach has. Yep. Not a good feeling. Not a good feeling
That's what
at
we
all.
had here. Not a good feeling.
Yeah.
All right. So one of our folks looking in on Facebook, Bill Clark, the old UAB coach, would he be a good choice? They want to hear your comments on that. I understand he is feeling good physically, health-wise, so that's the foremost, most important thing. And what he did in resurrecting UAB is one of the more remarkable things of this century in college football.
It really is. I don't know Coach Clarkley, but what he did at UAB was remarkable because, first of all, he took the program, for those people who don't know, he took that program and got them really healthy. They were in bowl games. They were beating some really good football teams, and they were competitive in that conference. They shut the program down. A year, maybe 2 years later, Patrick, they bring it back, and he rebuilds it again and does the exact same thing. So anybody that can do that, obviously knows what they're doing. He's got a lot of experience coaching and recruiting in the South and those type of things. So, not knowing him personally, but what he did was very impressive.
I heard you say somebody that wants to be here. I tend to think that the person, whoever it may be, needs to have either a really great offensive coordinator in tow or they have offensive football in their DNA. To me, I think that's just, you got to be, you've said it a gazillion times, you got to be offensive at East Carolina. And I agree. I think the way college football is officiated now and the rules are adjudicated, you got to be offensive minded.
I agree 100%. And I just can tell you from being at East Carolina in a period of success, you have to play aggressive when you are coaches at East Carolina. You cannot play, scared. You cannot play trying not to lose. You got to go win football games, and which means you've got to be a really good coach. I don't care about this NIL thing, all that. You can clamor and use that as an excuse all you want. Even if you're getting players with NIL, you still have to be able to coach them. You still have to be able to develop players. It still comes down to developing and coaching players. And it may be more important now than ever to be able to have a great quarterback coach because, as we've talked about, you're not going to have them for 4 years and develop them for 4 years. It might be a transfer that only comes in for 1 year, maybe 2. So you've got a limited amount of time to get that guy ready. You better have a great quarterback coach with some experience that's proved he can do it. So I would agree with you 100% on that.
Doug, let me ask you about some other college football games. Then we'll come back, maybe kind of get our final thought on ECU Temple for the weekend. And thanks for sticking with us through the technical snafus today. Pitt is undefeated in the top 20. They'll play tomorrow night at home against Syracuse. It seems like every time Pat Narduzzi is on the verge of getting the ouster from the Steel City, he puts together a heck of a year, and he's doing it this year.
Hey, that's a Pitt thing. First off, Jeff Capel's doing the same thing, Pat.
Yeah.
You know what I will give him credit for, and being a defensive head coach. He was the defense coordinator at Miami of Ohio back in the day when I was at Kent State. He was a really good defense coordinator then. A lot of times defensive coordinators will be very conservative on offense. And Pat was early on in his run there at Pitt. And he has realized, this isn't working. And he went out and hired a new offensive coordinator, had a little bit of experience and was a little bit more wide open. And guess what? They're scoring points. And all of a sudden he's got things rolling again. So kudos to him for being able to change his mindset a little bit. I always say that, defensive head coaches should look at, Coach Smart at Georgia, Coach Saban at Alabama. Those guys never had conservative offenses. Those guys were always, really good offensive teams that can score because they understood what you just said, Patrick. In today's game, you've got to score points. I don't care how great you are on defense. You've got to be able to score points. And that's what Coach Narduzzi's done, and he did a great job on that hire.
I want to ask you about a couple other games. Friday night, there's a pair that interests me. Boise State right now is kind of in the driver's seat for that playoff spot out of the G5. Stumbling block out on late night with UNLV, who it's kind of tailed off after a hot start. I mean, is this one of the last stumbling blocks potentially for Boise?
Probably one of the last teams that probably are capable of playing with them. If UNLV can hit their stride again, I know they've stumbled here a little bit lately, but that may have been because of injuries or something like that. I don't really know. But if they're getting healthy and they can score points, then that can be really a competitive game for sure.
How about USC? They'll get Rutgers. That's an 11 o'clock game on Fox, on the actual network, Fox. Boy, USC is in a tailspin right now, and you would think they'd be favored against Rutgers at home.
You want to be careful with Rutgers because Coach Schiano is a really good coach. He's a great defensive coach. He's just a really good head coach overall. He does a really good job of getting the team oriented and focused, and that could be a danger game for USC. And I mean, and you're right, they're struggling. USC, they've just never been able to put a defensive team on the field that's been good enough yet. And then offensively, I guess they're struggling a little bit here late too. So be interesting to watch that one.
I want to ask you about Notre Dame and Navy. And this is, I think, a neutral site game. Navy's the home team, but they're playing it in Baltimore somewhere. Anyway, I mean, this is Navy's stiffest test to date.
This is a Super Bowl for Navy right here. If they can get this one, all of a sudden they become the Boise team that might get that chance to go to the playoffs and those type of things. So, and I think they're very capable of beating Notre Dame because even though Notre Dame has gotten better, Riley Leonard has not progressed like I thought he would and hoped he would. And I think a lot of that goes back to coaching. They're not developing him the way they should have. He's a talented guy that has underachieved. So they're not scoring as many points as what they should, and Navy's more than capable of beating Notre Dame.
Texas at Vandy. who's in the top 25 in the coaches poll. Should Texas be on upset alert?
No, I think Texas will run them out of the stadium after that game last week. Texas will be refocused. Texas has much better talent, obviously, than Vanderbilt. I know Vanderbilt's a great story, and God love them. I mean, they've upset some people this year, but I don't see them getting Texas, and I think Texas, has their back against the wall now. They can't lose another one, so the sense of urgency will be there. I think you'll see a really good Texas team step out on the field there.
All right, number 8 LSU, number 14 Texas A&M. Is this an elimination game for the playoff?
Be really careful if you're an LSU fan here. Texas A&M starting to really play well. There's some distractions, I think, at LSU that could hurt them. I think that might be a game that Texas A&M gets a little upset right here.
All right, let's circle back to the game in Greenville. Well, let me ask you about this one first. SMU is at Duke. It's at 8 o'clock on Saturday night in Durham. Duke's got 6 wins, beat FSU last Friday. SMU is playing really, really well in the top 25. They're scoring points. Duke struggled offensively. How do you see that one shaking out possibly?
Yeah, Duke's going to have to score some points. They're not going to shut SMU out. SMU is going to get points. So if Duke can get 26 plus on the board, I think they got a great chance to win that game. But they're going to have to cause some turnovers to help their offense points. Be a good game to watch, but Duke's going to have to score more than what they have last couple of games.
All right, let's come back now to ECU hosting Temple for homecoming, and obviously there's a lot going on in East Carolina. You've talked a little bit about Temple. How do you see that game ultimately playing out, Coach?
It's really important that ECU gets off to a fast start game. They need some momentum to get going, something to just generate the whole team, get the whole team excited about playing. So, if they could hit something big in the special teams or, a turnover for a touchdown, something like that, just get off to a fast start. Don't fall behind, which I don't think they will because I don't think Temple's offense is good enough to do that. I think ECU could win this one in a close game, but they do need this game to start well. If it doesn't start well, it's going to be difficult for them.
All right, Coach. Thank you very much. Give you a reprieve on the quarterback homework.
I had it ready for you, man. I had it ready for you next week.
All right. Well, there's been a lot going on this week and even today on the show. So
yeah, no problem. I enjoyed it, guys.
Doug, you're the best. Thank you, man.
You guys take care.
All right, there he goes. The great Doug Martin with us here. That's the highlight of the week to me, Pilk, anytime Coach Martin's on. Seriously. It's too good.
Oh, I agree.
Too good. Fantastic on there. He really is. Saw where the WNBA lost $40 million this year. They were projected to lose 50. So they didn't quite lose as much as they were projected to lose. And I guess in 26, new money is kicking in with the media rights agreement. So as much as they did as far as record attendance this year and record TV numbers and probably record revenues, they are still considerably in the hole. And I know you're excited that the NBA started back and your Celtics raised an 18th banner last night. But let's face it, the television contracts or whatever, probably holding the ticket model's not going to work anymore. It's just not. Though we're going to sell a lot of tickets, doesn't work anymore. That's the college thing is so crazy because it's still so reliant everywhere, not just in East Carolina, everywhere. I mean, that's factored in the SEC ticket rev, and in fact they're putting extra charges on the ticket revenue to apply it to NIL. But it's the media dollars.
So interesting thing you brought up the media dollars. I don't know if you saw this, but the WNBA Players Association has opted out to the last few years of the current collective bargaining agreement. They will have a season next year, but as of now, there is no CBA for the 2026 season. The reason for this opt-out is what you mentioned there, Patrick. There is going to be a new media rights deal, and the players are hoping that will be significantly higher and that they will be able to get a bigger piece of the pie starting in 2026. And maybe they will not be operating in the red. Maybe they can finally operate in the black starting then, but I still think it's going to be a tax write-off for the NBA.
Well, maybe they won't lose $40 million. You know?
Yeah, they definitely will not be losing $40 million. If they do what they did this year, but with that new TV deal, they will do much better.
Well, and you got to think Caitlin Clark's team's going to get better, and she'll even have players that want to go play with her in Indiana. You know,
the ones who beat her up for a few years.
Yeah, and the cost. Well, people like winning, and the cost of living is not as great in Indiana as it probably is some of these other places.
Oh, for sure.
All right, schedule for the rest of the week. Tomorrow we're going to have both Mike Mullis and Brian North on. And looking forward to that. We'll be on at 4 o'clock tomorrow here on 94.3 The Game and the IBX Media app. Friday, Coach Logan ahead of ECU homecoming, and we'll also talk with Joe Sampson, Joey Football. Pirate Game Day Countdown for Anson Belt and Buckle and the Orthopedics East at 11 on Saturday morning from outside the stadium under the tent. And Monday, back at Tiebreakers, and Coach Mike Swartz will be with us that day. So looking forward to having Coach Swartz on for that one. All right, big thanks today to Coach Doug Martin, to Philip, to intern Brandon. Nice work, everybody. Sorry for the technical snafu, and I'm sorry, Michael. I'll never besmirch your name again, ever. You believe that, Pill?
No, I do not believe that.
No. Shimmy does a great job. I give
you will not
Shimmy
do
a hard
it
time.
for the rest of the day. And
right. I won't even think about this place because I've got to go walk on the beach.
Tomorrow morning is
It's
a new day.
All right. Big thanks. We'll see everybody tomorrow morning on Talk of the Town, and then back here at 4 o'clock. Note at 4 o'clock ahead of the Logan Zone on 94.3 The Game on Thursday.